Does any other member of the committee have a question for the officers or the cabinet member relating specifically to whether the due diligence has been done around the financial duty? Councillor Simpson.
Thank you. Just a question for Matthew, if I may. On the MPV, I mean, I know we're at early stages, but presumably the intention is to actually try and come out of this with an MPV as break-even as possible, because that means every possible penny will be ploughed back into providing social housing for the people of Lambeth. And I just welcome your commitment that that's kind of the name of the game here. Thanks.
Did someone answer my question that I raised? I'm sorry, it hasn't even been asked. You haven't raised it about selling on. What are the conditions?
Hello. I'm chairing this meeting. Please, can you allow me to get on with it?
I raised it. You haven't answered.
Okay, I am chairing this meeting. I am now asking members of the committee to be able to carry out their constitutional function of asking their questions, and we can come back to some of the points that I may or may not have missed if there is an opportunity. Okay, now, does any other member of the committee, Councillor Morris is indicating, if you could turn on your mic, please, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to ask a question about the initial, I don't know whether it's grant or loan to the SPV. I think it was alleged by one of the speakers, or perhaps it was in the papers, that this was an attempt to make the NPV show positive, whereas otherwise it wouldn't. But I thought that I'd read in the papers that initial grant or loan payment was actually going to be paid back over time, and I just wondered if officers could provide a bit more detail on that.
And I'll take one more, particularly if it's about NPV or the special purpose vehicle. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to come back to the HRA business plan, and in terms of what Galinda was talking about in regards to our closing debt and our debt cap and the difference between those two figures. What I've interpreted from what you just said, Matthew, is that while our debt is increasing, our ability to service it is getting tougher, and I think a clearer explanation on that. Sorry, if you'll just indulge me, I just want to follow up on the Savills point, if that's okay. Simon Elmer there made reference to schemes in Haygate and Hackney. And I just think it would be useful to understand if there are any differences between what exactly it is we're attempting to do here with the Lambeth SUV in comparison to other boroughs in London, because my understanding is that this is quite a unique proposition. Thank you.
Okay, Matthew, I'm not sure if you were able to remember all of those. So Councillor Simpson had a point about seeking assurances that the special purpose vehicle was the most appropriate way of squeezing the most investment we could get out for social and other forms of housing in the borough. Councillor Morris asked about the effect of the loan on the NPV and whether we can have some clarity around whether that is as was alleged or was in the papers. And Councillor Wilson obviously asked about whether the special purpose vehicle differed in any way from the other schemes that were raised earlier by one of the residents, especially the Haygate.
Okay, I'm going to answer some of these, and then Rachel Sharp and Neil Vokes will probably pick up on some of the more specific points where members of the committee have asked for that clarification. In answer to Councillor Simpson's point, Homes for Lambeth is being set up in order to be not-for-profit, so absolutely, if you break even with an MPV, that achieves the aim of not-for-profit. Obviously, you want to have certainty, and therefore, in all the modelling we've done for every scheme that's come to Cabinet, we've required a positive NPV so that the Council knows that every scheme can fund itself, and that's why you have to have a positive NPV. But over time, the aim of Homes for Lambeth is to recycle any surplus generated from private rent or from any homes that have to be sold through private sale to go back into council rent, which would end up ultimately looking to a break-even position. So you're absolutely right on there. On kind of jumping around a bit, if you'll forgive me, just on the SPV and difference to other schemes. In terms of being able to deliver more homes, particularly homes at council rent, the council kind of has several possible options it could go down. It could partner with a private developer, which, as I've explained, we've ruled out. We could partner with a housing association / private developer, which is the model that the Liberal Democrats, when they ran Southwark with the Conservatives, signed up for the Haygate. and we've ruled that out. And then we could go down the route of setting up our own special purpose vehicle, Homes for Lambeth, so we can deliver it ourselves, so that we're the developers, so that we are able to recycle the revenue back into more affordable homes, and that we keep control. And I think, as we've seen through the deal that the Housing Association signed up with to the government in the week before Conservative Party conference to bring in the right to buy, to be paid for by forcing councils to sell off council homes, which does over people on the waiting list. We're not really looking to partner up with housing associations at present. So it is a very, very different proposition, with the aim being to get as many homes for council rent as possible, and to try and provide homes for people across the sort of income spectrum across Lambeth, so that we can seek to build the homes we need for people in the breadth of Lambeth's community. On the £7.5 million question, I'm going to ask Neil Vokes to take that on. The specifics going to be helpful, and Rich Scott's going to take the issue on the HRA business plan, because again it's quite detailed.
Right. Could you just introduce yourself and your job title before answering the question? Thank you.
I'm Neil Vokes, Assistant Director for Housing Regeneration. So in terms of the £7.5 million figure, which is in the financial model, it's worth stating that the financial model has to include all of the costs that are necessary to take forward the redevelopment of Cressingham Gardens. So this next stage of the redevelopment involves a significant amount of master planning work, design, architectural fees, but also supporting some of the households who want to move from the estate as well. So we have the key guarantees with the home loss payments, disturbance payments, potentially buying back leaseholders who want to sell to the council. So there's a need for the council to put some kickstart funding into Cressingham Gardens to progress the scheme. So the way that we've captured that in the financial modelling is to put that sum of money as what we're calling a grant or a loan within the model, which is then repaid over to the council over the lifetime of the development. So it's not a grant which is given to Homes for Lambeth and isn't repaid. It is early investment by the council, which Homes for Lambeth does repay to the council.
So it's a loan.
Thank you.
Just to highlight that back in 2013, the council agreed that £25 million from the council's single capital pot, so where all the council's capital funding comes from, £25 million would be invested into building more homes at council rent, and that was then furthered by the pledge in the manifesto back in 2014 that Labour had of 1,000 extra homes for council rent. That £7.5 million is funded out of that capital pot funding, and is then being paid back, so it makes it more sustainable.
I'm Rachel Sharp. I'm the Director of Strategic Housing Regeneration and Communities at the Council. On the question about the HRA business plan, I think, Councillor Wilson, you asked about the difference between the closing debt and the debt cap. So the debt cap is constant throughout the 30-year business plan. That's the cap that the government set when it introduced the HRA self-financing regime. So that's the same every year. However, when we do the HRA business planning, we have to say at the end of each year what the closing debt balance is. And it's the difference between our debt within year and the debt cap that allows us to have the borrowing headroom. So that's where the headroom comes from. The problem that we have, as I think several speakers have mentioned, is whether we have the revenue to borrow up to the headroom, to take up all the headroom we have. And as I think Galinda mentioned earlier, what our latest HRA business plan review shows is that we don't have that borrowing sufficient to do that. And certainly within 2 to 3 years, the HRA at the moment goes into the red. So there isn't sufficient revenue to borrow up to the headroom. Now, obviously, what we have to do is look at the HRA business plan from time to time, rework the figures, make sure it stacks up, because we have to have a viable business plan throughout the 30 years. So we're reviewing it again at the moment, and we will make sure that within a year it doesn't go into the red.
Any other member of the committee have a